team panic. And there we go, new chassis pieces for the Melty Brain, fresh off the CNC machine. Oh, not quite, I have actually sat down and given these a bit of a once-over already. Just get rid of some burrs and bits and pieces off them. But let's talk about what has changed between the old version of the Melty Brain and the new one. We are just a little bit longer now, only like about 15 mil either end, so 30 mil chassis reach overall. But that just gives us a little bit more weapon clearance inside to stop stuff like this happening, which is a real pain. I was going to change the internal dimensions a little bit, but as it turns out, I was smaller in here than I thought I was anyway, so I decided to leave all of that together. I've also added extra deep wheel wells in here so that we can change the wheel placement a little bit better and a little bit easier, because changing that placement gives us variable speeds on the melting, which is going to be interesting to do. And we can get faster melting speeds by moving the wheel closer in. So we've now got that option in these new cutouts. And also I've moved the weapon system out a little bit further, and it's going to be set up to run the 1806s as we talked about in the last Melty Brain update video. I've also cut two separate plates now for top and bottom. The bottom actually has its middle section routed in properly, so you might even almost be able to see that on camera, but you can actually kind of see my fingers through this because that is only about 2 millimeters thick on the bottom, and that is the same as this version, except for this 2 millimeter plate is a plate that is bolted in, which is extra weight. So this time around we're doing away with all of that, saving a little bit of weight on that, and I think that's the major changes. Oh, and then we have extra bolt holes at the front or on the tips of each thing, and that is so that if we decide at any point that we don't want to have the actual spinners on the front, we can literally just bolt weapon teeth to the outside of the Melty Brain like this and go into combat like that. Or, if this is too weak, we can maybe do this, which should just fit into the space. I don't know if we're going to have weight to do that. Annie's weapons are fairly heavy, because this is what these are. These are Annie's old weapons, and also that is going to put us at a ridiculous length. But if we can get away with that, that would be an interesting way to fight people. But of course, most of the point of this is to run the weapons on the front, so we want to try and do that at the very least. Ripping this apart isn't actually all that complicated. There are literally just 4 bolts, which don't even have nylocks on them at this point in time. They literally have hot glue holding the nuts in place. And once those are done, it should be just a case of wiggling the top off. I'm not even going to undo all the electronics from in here, because it's going to be nice to have those and be able to transfer them over into the new Melty Brain without having to really make any changes to them. Well, this is all still working, that's good. And that's good. So that actually worked really well. It was a lot more responsive this time around with the new D-Shop programming in than it ever was on the old system. I am really happy with that. The only problem is that as it hits the ground on the little skids that we have in underneath here, the tracking disappears. So every time it hit the ground and skidded, the tracking heading just moved on me, which wasn't great. I probably need to work some way out of adjusting that, but I am running out of time to run the coding for this, so this is going to have to be good enough for now. As long as it melties in the arena, I'm going to be happy with that. I have bashed together a very silly system to try and get the weapon motors working, because running them on the servo pulses like we did in the last video didn't work. It's not great. It does fail-safe correctly, and it's a little bit jittery when the weapons are at low speed, but it should work. So the final thing is going to be to get the weapons in and get it into the arena. But that may not happen in this video. We are running out of time and I need to get this thing ready to go. So there may be a little bit more filming after this point, there may not be, but I'm pretty happy with how much I've managed to get done so far. So, just in case, I hope you have enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.